Alright, today I'm going to make some speaker stands from some of the wood I actually had left over from the bench. These are for some Focal SIB XLs that were wall mounted, and I don't actually have the speaker stands. You can buy like a bop stand, that's what they call it, from Focal, but they're expensive, really expensive. So anyway, I've got 2 squares which we're gluing together, which I've just done here with these ones. As you can see, they're glued, a few tack nails and clamped, and so we're just going to do the same with this set. And then obviously once the glue sets, what I'm going to do is go ahead and 45 all of the edges. So get them nice and pressed together, get most of the air out. Once I clamp it, we'll do the rest of that, but that's that. And then we'll just put a tack nail in each corner, which will, this nail will get cut out later anyway. Alright, and here's the 2 bases cut now with 45s, but I did leave 5mm as a nice little edge around it. And then I've measured back. This is where the actual piece of steel will go through, and then we'll wrap this way underneath. I've got this piece of steel which is 40 by 5mm thick steel, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces 35 centimeters and then 2 pieces 10 centimeters. So the 2 35s are obviously the straight piece, and then the 2 10s will be mounted in here. Now I'm actually going to weld the 2 together. I could bend it, but it's quite thick steel, 5mm to bend. So it'd be a lot easier to just weld it than to try and get a nice neat bend without, you know, some kind of proper press. All I have is a vise, so it'll probably be easier to just weld the 2 together. Alright, so there's the basic foot, back, 2 holes at the top where I can mount the little hook to, and then we turn it up here, and I've got the steel that comes underneath. Now I still have to router out that piece so that that can sit in flush. But once that sits in flush, obviously this will sit completely flat as a base, and that'll be that. And then I've got a little hole there that I can run the speaker wire down and out of. So the 2 bases now, I've got the holes cut for the steel to go through, and now I've marked the underside. So now it's 5mm thick steel, so I'm going to flush these down, probably 6mm, so I've just got a tad of clearance. So I've got my brackets bolted on, which is where they're going to sit, for the speaker to sit exactly 1 centimeter off the wood. And I've got my 2 speaker holes obviously drilled in the bottom, so the cables can run down and back through. Just keep them neat. And these are actually now mounted on the underside, so all I did was router it out, not very straight, and then countersunk the 2 screws in. I did it by hand, but anyway, the whole base will be actually covered in a piece of felt. And there's one of the speakers on its stand, just floating, so it gives the kind of appearance that it is floating, and obviously it is on a bracket. Right, so these are ready to be plasti dipped, and the final thing I'm going to do just before I do that is cut off these nuts, so the threads. The bottom one there actually was a shorter bolt, so that one's fine. I just want to chop them off so that a little bit neater like that one. Alright, so it's wet right now, but that's 3 coats of plasti dip. So it's to the point now where it's starting to cover the grain in the wood. So you can still see it just a little, which I don't actually mind, but anyway, that's 3 coats. I'll probably do 4 or 5. I come into my lounge room, and we have the original SIBs, and then we have the SIB XLs, and now we have my stands like that. And on the underside, I just have the felt just stapled on, and the staples actually sink into the felt, so they don't touch, and it gives it nice soft when you put it down, so there's no clunk or anything. Anyway, now I'm literally just going to mount, so you've got the mounting bracket there, and these are the actual ones that go onto the actual speaker, and then it literally just locks in place like that. Alright, so sitting here in the living room, and here are the speakers themselves. So I've got one on each side there, the SIB XLs now on the new stands. I've got a sub on each side as well. One is a SIB CUB 3. I think that's a SIB CUB 2. That one I bought second hand when I bought the speakers. Physically they're the same. That one's just got a silver port instead of a black port, but they are the same driver and everything. So that's that. And currently as a center channel, I've actually got the other third one of these, but it's just lying sideways behind the TV. This is a rental, so unfortunately I can't hang it on the wall. So I'm gonna maybe lift the TV, and then I'll be able to put the center channel in the center. But just for now, these are the towers finished, and they look really good. So speaker just sits nicely there. There's my cable management. It runs down and then out of the bottom there, so keeps it pretty neat cabling wise, and they look nice. So anyway, I'll put a little bit of music on, something royalty free that I could find that sounded okay. And then just in the back here, I've got the 2 SIBs on the bookshelf, which are also connected. And I do have 3 left over now, so technically I could do 7 channel surround sound, I just haven't yet. Anyway guys, it's not really much all I can show. A little bit of a sound test. It sounds good, but I mean, how the mic perceives that is what it is. But anyway, quite happy with my speaker stands, and just kind of completing my home theatre here. But anyway, back to the cars. Definitely got some more builds on the way.